So let us understand what is the deadlock problem here. So let us see, take an example that a set of blocked processes each holding a resource and waiting to acquire a resource held by another process in the set. So say for example, you have some process. So you have process say P1, P2, P3, P4, so on. So all the process you are unable to complete any of these processes. These are all blocked because, so say for example, P1 is requesting for some resource say R1. The same resource R1 is held by some other process say P2. So P2 is not ready to release the resource which is requested by P1. So either I'll not complete P2 or I'll not complete P1. So P1 is waiting for P2 to complete and P2 is waiting for P1 to complete. So this is how we are facing. I am talking about two processes. Like that we have n process. So how is it I will do? When the same resource is acquired by some other process, so these processes are going to be blocked. So that is how we face a problem called deadlock problem. So I have another example with two processes here. Say for example, I have a system which has two tape drives. I have two tape drives. Here two tape drives are the resources which can be used by the process P1 and P2. So P1 and P2 each hold one tape drive. You assume that I have given one tape drive to P1, second tape drive to P2 now, and each needs another one. P1 is already having one tape drive, but it wants another tape drive which is used by P2. Same way P2 is also having one tape drive, but it wants to use another tape drive which is used by P1. So this is how the problem is going to appear. So how is it I will try to resolve? Say for example, I go for two semaphores, say A and B. I'll initialize these values to 1. So semaphore we have studied now last unit. So this is a synchronization tool. So here for example, P0 is executing in a wait statement with semaphore say A. That time P1 is using the semaphore B. So P0 again when it is executing with B, so P1 is executing with A. So based on the availability of the resource. So this is how we are going to try to solve the problems. Let us see how is it we do in the next slide. Say for example, so instead of going for a process, we also have some real-time example here. So how to overcome the problem while crossing the bridge. See here, there is a traffic only in one direction. See here, because here I have, see, this is a bridge you have. You have the left side, I have one car you can assume. The right side, I have two cars requesting to the same bridge. So here bridge itself is a resource. So each section of a bridge can be viewed as a resource here. See if a deadlock occurs. Deadlock means what? See for example, I have one car at the left side of the bridge. So this, if for example, if this wants to move first, then these two cars have to wait for this car one to pass. Otherwise, this car one has to release the resource bridge for these two cars which are waiting in the other side. Correct? So several cars may have to be backed up if a deadlock occurs. This is how the deadlock is going to appear. So if one of the car is ready to release the resource, so other cars can move. So that is how you can overcome. So if at all, if none of these, see these right side car vehicles are not ready to release the bridge for the left side vehicles, again the same time the left side vehicle is not ready to release the bridge for the right side vehicles, then obviously they are in the waiting process. They'll be waiting in for long time, maybe indefinite. They are in the loop. That situation is known as starvation, right? The system model. So for each and every deadlock problem, when we will consider the situation as deadlock and when there is no deadlock, let us understand that. Say for example, we consider resource type say R1, R2, so on, Rm. Resource can be anything. You can take CPU itself as a resource, memory itself as a resource, or input-output device as a resource. So CPU cycles. I have some CPU time of 10 slots. I'll allocate 2 slots for P1, another 3 slots for P2, so on. That is how I will plan for CPU cycles. Memory space also. Same space, same time I cannot allocate for all the process. So based on the requirement, I will allocate the memory space. Then IO devices, whatever the number of input-output devices I have, I can share it. So this is how I have n number of resources which can be requested by n number of processes. So each resource type Ri has WI instance. Say for example, that's what CPU cycles. I have 10 slots. 2 slots I will give it as resource 1 for P1. Another 2 slots I will give it as resource 2 for process 2. So that is how each resource can have more than one instance. I'll call this number of instance for each of these resources to be utilized by each and every process as Wi. I have I can be 1, 2, 3, so on. Same way, I have Ri as the Wi instance. Again, Wi can be 1, 2, 3, so on. So based on the requirement, we go for different resource, different process, and different number of instances of resource used by different processes. That you clearly understand when I explain with an example along with the diagram. So here each process utilizes a resource as follows. How is that these resource process will utilize the resource? Either first, what is that process has to do? Process has to request for the resource. I have P1, P2, P3 wants to use R1, R2, R3. P1 has to send request to R1. P2 has to send request for R2, something like that. So once the request is granted, once the resource is assigned, if P1 is assigned with R1, so P1 can make use of R1. Same way. So same resource R1 is requested by P2. If P1 has finished its job, if it is ready to release R1 for P2, so P1 will release R1 so that P2 can make use of R1. So the third step is release. First, the process has to request for the resource to be used. Once the request is granted, once the resource is assigned, then the process can make use of the resource allocated. Once the job is done, it can release the resource for the